Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another RPR Monday night race. I'm the commentator, RPR, and tonight we are at Portimao in Portugal. We have one race left after this Grand Prix tonight. So we will see what the drivers can do. After last week's race, Johnny Stokes did win his first championship. So still more points to go for everybody else. But what a fantastic race we had last week at Suzuka in Japan. Lots of overtaking, lots of drivers also deciding to overtake, trying to pull. Well, some drivers did pull out some overtakes going through the 130R. We did have I think there was only one safety car I think we had in that race. I think it come out of like lap 21, I believe. So anything can happen and go ahead tonight. Epic's going to be the first driver to set his lap, I do believe, with Little Ash Kicker following him behind as well. So we will get underway then with Epic starting the first penultimate lap and to set the time for everybody else. So we've got, like I say, anything could happen tonight. Like I say, Johnny's already won. So with this race and next week's race at Qatar, there's still plenty of points up for grabs for everybody. And I think there's not really a lot of points separating either driver. So we'll see what happens tonight. Hoping for an exciting race round this beautiful track of Portimao. So it's going to be fast flowing. I think the only, depending on what happens, so Epic puts in a 116.6, Little Kickass with a 118.1. So I think with what we might see, it depends, but we could see maybe a potentially a few drivers may get a corner wrong, but we'll see. A-Rez has already gone through the corner as well. So it's kind of this corner here. If you kind of put the power on too much or try and, I think the best way to do that is to take that corner not as wide as possible. But as long as you get it right, then you not have a problem with that corner, with going up through there. Stewie's up with a 116.7, Errors with a 117, Cam with a 118, Cherry with a 118, GCC with a 120. Let's have a look at Scotty. Let's see what Scotty can put in. Johnny's not out of the pitch yet, so we'll see what happens with Johnny. Hopefully the weather stays nice as well. Oh, are we going to see what we saw last week from Mr. Johnny Stokes? I know in the race last week, all he had to do was finish. Scotty puts himself P3 with a 1:17.2. Now, like I said, Johnny Stokes last week, I think he attempted to set a lap or two, or maybe tweaking his setup, but are we going to see what Johnny did last week, where he started, I think it was like I can't remember how many drivers we had last week. I think it was like 15 or 16 drivers, but Johnny ended up starting from the back of the grid, near enough from the back of the grid, to then going all the way to the end and actually winning the race from the back. So we'll see what happens there with Johnny tonight, see if he can actually do that again. Obviously, bearing in mind he's already won the championship, so he doesn't really need to finish anyway or whatever. He doesn't have to, yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. So currently at the moment, Epic is in P1 with a 1:16.6, Stewie with a 1:16.7, Scotty with a 1:17.2, Ares with a 1:17.9, and then Little Ash Kicker with a 1:18.1, Cam Rudder with a 1:18.3, Cherry 1:18.8, Mrs. Carl with a 1:19.0, GCC with a 1:20. So Lattice didn't put a lap time in there. So we'll see if he decides to come out again. Mrs. Carl is on a slow lap, I think. So will she be coming in for a change of tyres, or is it a slow lap to then straight over the finish line and straight to the pits for Mrs. Carl? GCC 8 tenths up on their time at the moment. 10th up in the first sector. So we've got 9.5 minutes of this short qualifying session. And like I said, the clouds don't look too pretty dazzling at the moment, so could we be in for a change of weather maybe? I don't know, we'll have to see. How's Freddie doing? Freddie's invalidated, so Freddie will go again. Cherry and Cam is out. Epic's back out, Scotty's back out, Stewie's back out, Aros is back out. So it's just Frenzy, Lattice and Freddie to go again. 120.1 for GCC. Not sure if he's got his ERS switched on. I'm not sure. Mrs. Carl on her way back out from the pits. Cam's gone quickest on his time, I think, in sector 2. So could we see Cam up a few positions with this lap as he comes over the crest through to the right-hander? Pops himself up to P4. the 117.7, so just jumps up in front of his teammate. Scotty's invalidated at the moment. Stewie down on his time a little bit, not by much. Epic's invalidated as well. Epic does have Freddy behind him. I think Freddy's going to let everyone come by. GCC in the pit, Mrs. Carl on her outlap. Let's have a look how Stewie's doing. Coming through sectors. They look by 800th at the moment. So Stewie's still pushing the limits of the McLaren. So comes through over the round, over the crest. Over to the right hand side. 117.6747. So improves on his time just by a little bit. Let's have a look at Epic, see how Epic's doing. He's up on his time just a little bit by the looks of it through sector 1. See how he does going through sector 2. Down on his time, sector 2. Scotty, how's Scotty doing? Comes up through the crest of the hill. I think for me that's probably one of the toughest uphill downhill corners for me. Oh, Scotty runs a little bit wide there. Invalidates his lap time there. So Mrs. Cole up to P4 with a 117.5. So great lap there by Mrs. Cole. Into the top 4 she goes. Just under 5.5 minutes to go in the short qualifying session. Freddie puts himself up with a 118 with a 118.2 up to P8. So we're just then waiting for Frenzy and Lettuce. I think they're going to wait and see how things go there at the moment then. So a little bit of a change around there. Scotty is P3, Mrs. Cole P4. Both of the Mercedes is P5 and P6. And then Little Ass Kicker's P7. Freddie has invalidated, is in front of Scotty. I think Scotty, wait, is that Scotty or is it? No, it's Mrs. Cole, sorry. So over the crest. Freddie does come into the pits. So who's going to come out again then? So Cam's on his way out again. Cherry's also on his way out as well. Is there anybody else that might fancy it, or are they going to wait just for a little bit? Ares also comes out as well. Then we've got a little bit of a no, so Cam's letting Cherry go, give them a bit of space. So Cam, Ares and Cherry are out at the moment. So we'll see what happens then, if anybody else does decide to come out. In the meantime, we'll keep an eye on the track map to see if anybody else does come out. I do believe, if I'm seeing this right, is Cam, are both the Mercedes drivers looking to help each other out? Cam lets his teammate go, so we'll see if anything else happens. Mrs. Carl's on her way back out. Cherry's already started his lap, so we'll keep an eye on Cherry. Frenzy and Lattice hasn't come out yet. Scott is on his way back out as well. 2.5 minutes to go. So this could be anyone. So let's have a look at Cherry, see how Cherry's doing. He's down by a little bit in the first sector. On the time, coming up over the hill, down into the crests, up through to sector 2. 3 tenths up on his time, or maybe up 3 tenths up on the time in front of the driver who's in front, which will be either Freddie or Little Ass Kicker. Epic and Stewie comes back out as well. I think Freddie is on his way back out too. And Cherry goes P7 with a 117.9. So good luck there by Cherry. Cam's invalidated. A-Res is up on his time as well, just by a little bit in sector 2. Scotty started his, Scotty started another lap as well. P4 for A-Res with a 117.4, so it knocks Mrs. Carl down to P5 at the moment. So Mrs. Carl does have enough time to get round and get over the line. Just maybe start another lap for herself, which I think she will do. So we'll keep an eye on Mrs. Carl. Freddie has 40 seconds to go. Does have another driver behind him. I think that is, yeah, that's the last kicker there behind Freddie. I think he's giving Little Ass Kicker. Freddie's giving Little Ass Kicker maybe a little bit of a toe. P6 for Little Ass Kicker. Freddie's just started as well. GCC's also started. So Frenzy, it looks like Johnny, Life and Frenzy are starting at the back. So that is your show qualifying over. We'll keep an eye on to see if there is going to be any changes to the grid after this qualifying session. Epic's coming round now as well. Out of ARS. Pops in with a 116.4. Stewie's invalidated his time. How's Scotty doing? I'll have a look at Scotty. A-Res is in the pits. So P4 at the moment for A-Res. Mrs. Carl puts herself back up into P4. So great lap there by Mrs. Carl. How's Scotty doing? Cam's retired in the pits. Oh, Scotty just goes over, loses. Not sure if he got a kick of oversteer there, Scotty. So Scotty P3 then. With that time he's had left over. So we'll see what happens now in the race. So if it's going to be exciting as it was, or it will hopefully be as exciting as last week's race as well. Just hope the weather's nice too. But we will see what happens. So here is your qualifying results then for round 11. Epic in P1, Stewie P2, Scotty P3, Mrs. Cole P4, Ares P5, Freddie P6, Little Ass Kicker P7, Cam P8, Cherry P9, GCC P10, P10, Johnny, Frenzy, and Lattice are 11th, 12th, and 13th starting at the back. So, as I said at the start, will we see Johnny pull off another win from the back of the grid like he did last week? We'll have to wait and see. But let's hope, like I said, let's hope the weather looks pretty decent as well as we get into the race. And look at that lovely blue skies for the drivers. So then, we wait for the drivers to get a strategy sorted, and we can then see what sort of tyre strategies the drivers have picked. And then we'll get the formation lap underway as well. So, let's get a couple of details up. Don't think we really need lap delta up. So let's have a quick look at the tyre strategies then. So Epic's on the hard tyres, Stewie's on the softs, Scotty, Mr. Cole, Ares and Freddie are on the mediums. Little Ass Kicker and Cam are on the softs as well. Cherry and GCC are on the mediums. Johnny is on the medium, on the hard tyre as well. And Frenzy and Lattice are also on medium tyres as well. So a few little different strategies then from the drivers. So we'll see out of the driver. I don't think the soft tyres will last too long, but we'll see how the drivers with the soft tyres manage it as well. So we'll see how those drivers will do. We'll see how everybody else does as well. So nice clean formation lap from everyone, so everyone will just now get the tyres warmed up, get the rears warmed up as well, and then they will slot into their grid positions for the start of round 11 at Portimao. Epic pointing over again. Cam gets disqualified, just overshoots his grid position. So here we go then. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights are out and we are underway for RPR round 11 at Portimao. Great start there by Epic. Looks to try and run through, or tries to get the jump done on Stewie, but Stewie manages to get the jump done anyway. Mrs. Cole up to P3. Is under it. Oh, gets clipped. Mrs. Cole gets clipped by Ares going into turn 3, turn 2, turn 3. So hopefully there's not a lot of damage on the driver's cars. Doesn't look like they've got any damage either. So still up to P1 then, leading the race from Epic, and P2 Scott is still P3. Cam is P4, closely followed by Freddie. Lice has made up 7 places already. Johnny Stokes already up as well to P7. So Lice and Johnny already making moves. Cherry up a position, GCC up a position, Frenzy up 2 positions as well, but the drivers that did lose positions is Mrs. Cole and Ares, losing 8 places, but Mrs. Cole's looking to go around the outside of Little Ash Kicker, gets the move done there, exceptional move there by Mrs. Cole. Ares follows as well. So we've got movement between Johnny and Lattice. Johnny gets the move done on Lattice just before turn 1. So Johnny up another position there at the moment. Closing down, will be closing down Freddie. The timing details have messed up a little bit, so that will hopefully go back to the way it was. Stewie's still leading at the moment, 2-second lead to Epic. Obviously different type strategies through for both drivers and other drivers as well. I do believe Cherry has pitted as well. So Cherry on a set of soft tyres, so we'll be looking to potentially pull in some quick laps and catch up as well. Johnny's pulled a little bit of a gap to Lias as well, but then we've got GCC, Frenzy, both the Alfa Romeo drivers close together. Stewie sets the fastest lap of the race again as well. DRS is now enabled. Who's in the pits? Lattice is in the pits. So there's going to be a different tyre strategy change. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Who's had a little bit of a drop? Cam's had a little bit of a spin, I think, by the looks of it. Potentially hits the curb. Alex. Call. Yes, mate. Wait. Are you not in your car? No, you're not. I didn't even see that, mate. Let me see if I can send you a game invite. I'll get that sorted for you. Ash Kicker, yep. Right. I don't think I can send you a game invite. I don't even think I've got you as a friend, mate, to be honest. No, I don't have you as a friend, Alex, mate. And for some reason, it will not let me look at your profile on the race directory either, like it usually does. So I don't think. Yep, not let me send you an invite, mate. Mine is RL Cairo, mate. For my EA. Let's see if I've got your request, and let's do that. And let's get you an invite sent over if it'll let me. It says, right, come on. Let's just get out of that and get this sorted quickly. There you go, mate. Sent you an invite, Alex. So, yes, mate, it definitely is. I can agree with you on that. Scotty is on the rear of Epic as well. 4-second lead Stewie's got on Epic. We've got Cam and GCC battling as well. Yeah. No worries, mate. Glad to get you back in. So, GCC, Mrs. Cole and Cam are battling it out at the moment. So we've got a battle going off here. Mrs. Cole makes a dive on the inside of GCC, gets the move done. Exceptional move there by Mrs. Cole. She's now on the rear. Closing up to Cam. Gets into a little bit of contact at the start of the race, so she's looking to pull a few more places up. There, Frenzy still within DRS of Johnny as well. Lattice in P12 after making a pit stop as well. So I think Alex is back in his car. He's got control of his car. Scotty. Oh no. That's just, this game it is super shit now. That's just so unfair. Mrs. Cole making a move into turn 1 on Cam. Gets the move done on Cam. Cam's got GCC behind him as well. And the other Mercedes of Ares. Cam does get the DRS off Mrs. Cole. Mrs. Cole's looking to defend. Brilliant defending there by Mrs. Cole. GCC still looking to try and get that move in as well. Ares is also in the mix. So at the moment, GCC is in the Mercedes sandwich. So that is, this game is really poor, and I can't believe it wouldn't let Alex get back into his car. No, Alex, don't worry about it, mate. Do not worry. I'll try and send you. See, that's another thing that gets me. You go and jump to the lobby, and it actually DNFs you. So that's unfortunate, that Alex, mate. If it's DNF, yeah. I don't agree with that. If you're just going to jump to the menu to try and get back into the lobby, and it just DNFs you, play FIFA. I kind of play that now and again, but at the moment I've not really been paying too much attention to it at the moment. So there was me. Thanks for the trouble. Now let's see a good race. Yes, definitely. Let's see a good race. So let's have a look, and we'll see what's going off at the moment. So at the moment, Stewie is controlling the lead of the race. Scotty and Epic are still pretty much close together. Frenzy and Freddy are pretty much close together as well. Johnny's also in the mix with Frenzy and Freddy. Mrs. Cole looking to go that little bit further away from GCC and Ares, and those two are still battling together. Oh, Ares makes a move on GCC just before turn 1. Cam is in the pits, so lies up into P10. Cherry may just catch Cam coming out of the pits. into turn 1 at the moment on those cold hard tyres for Cam. Scotty, though, pretty much doing a stellar job keeping Epic within reach on those medium tyres. Stewie on those soft compound tyres will eventually have to pit a little bit later on, so we'll see what happens. Scotty, DRS, looking to go around the outside of Epic into turn 1, or looking for a move on Epic there. So will Scotty get Epic going into the next DRS line? Up the hill, just jump on board with Scotty. Opts to not go make the move yet, doesn't want to cause each other any contact or anything like that. Nicely gathered there by Scotty going up the hill. We've got Frenzy nip and tuck close on Freddie. Johnny Stokes closely behind as well. Still got Ares and GCC battling it out there. So we've got that. Cherry's caught up with Cam as well. So let's have a look at this. Is Scotty looking to go and make a move or try and get a move done on Epic, or is he going to bide his time and wait? Don't think he is. He's looking to go. Scotty goes to the outside. Down the hill to turn 1. Great move there by Scotty into turn 1. So Scotty now up to P2. So is there going to be a little bit of a switch or a change? Freddie and Frenzy also making moves as well. So Frenzy gets a move done on Freddie. Up to P4 for Frenzy, down to P5 for Freddie, with Johnny Stokes closely following behind. Freddie's looking to come back again. Dives down the inside and locks up the rears a bit there. Still kind of wheel to wheel together between both of these drivers, but it looks like Freddie got the better of that. So Freddie back up a position. Up to P4 on Frenzy. Johnny Stokes slowly closing in on Frenzy and Freddie. So he's going to be within the grasp of the two in front of him. Can he get, or can Johnny stay within DRS? Let's just jump on board with Frenzy. We've still got the battle going off between Scotty and Epic. Let's have a quick look at that. Epic's on the rear of Scotty. Goes down the inside. Both drivers are still wheel to wheel together. Scotty's looking for it. Oh, little snap there of oversteer from Scotty, but still manages to keep it going. Scotty does get the DRS off Epic. Frenzy and Freddie are going at it. This has now brought in Johnny Stokes. So Johnny Stokes is going to be battling up with these two as well. Freddie again locking those rear tyres. So this is another battle we've got going off at the moment. So we've got Scotty and Epic battling out in P1, P2 and P3. 6 second gap for Stewie on those softer compound of tyres. I'd love to know how worn or how he's managing on those softer compound of tyres. So we'll be soon looking to maybe see a couple of pit stops, but not at this precise moment. So can Scotty then again look to make nice runs a little bit deep into turn 1, but not much. So he gets there. Frenzy and Freddie are at it again into turn 1. Freddie's looking to go down. No, Frenzy was looking to go down the inside there, I think. This is now going to bring Johnny into the mix as well. So let's have a little jump on board with Johnny. Freddie does move to the inside just to cover that line. So all three drivers, or a little bit of a wiggle there from the Red Bull of Freddie. So what a race we've got going off at the moment. Joe, we've got us Epic and Scotty battling it out. As we go through, we have Freddie, Frenzy and Johnny also mixing it up with the battle as well. Mrs. Carl in P7. So we'll see if Mrs. Carl can also get the gap pulled down as well. But we'll have to see what happens going through at the moment. So Stewie's controlling the lead with a 6.5 second lead. Lice picks himself up a first 3 second time penalty. What momentum! Oh, I was just about to say what momentum from Freddie is from Frenzy, but Freddie picks himself a 5 second time penalty up in the pit lane. So Mrs. Carl was closest there to Freddie getting into the pit. So Mrs. Carl up to P6. So Johnny Stokes and Frenzy then. Looks like we've still got Scotty and Epic going at it as well. So these two are still going for it. Switching places over. Johnny and Frenzy still close together. Well, a little bit of a snap there from Frenzy going up the hill, but he manages to keep it going. Let's jump back up to Scotty and Epic. Still keeping an eye on the track map to see if we can see anything happening, but at the moment the closest two battles we've got is Epic and Scotty, and Frenzy and Johnny at the moment. So we'll see if anything happens. Is Scotty close enough to try and make a move? Epic just jumps to the inside, does allow Scotty to get that a little bit closer. So now can Scotty look to mount an attack in the next DRS? Coming up to the first DRS. Gets the DRS on. Epic moves to the inside just to close that door a little bit. Scotty does. Oh, another little snap from the front end for Scotty, but manages to keep it going. Frenzy and Johnny are still there, battling as well. I think Scotty lost a little bit of time there on Epic, but he's still close. Will Scotty, I think Epic's just got Scotty out of the DRS. So Stewie is now in the pits. So this is going to open up just a little bit now of a gap for Scotty and Epic. Frenzy's made a move up to P3. Johnny is in the pits. Mrs. Carl is in the pits as well. A-Res is in the pits. GCC will continue on. Lattice will continue on as well. Obviously, I think there has been a few pit stops. So Stewie's made his first pit stop. Lattice has as well. Who else has made a pit stop? Cherry's made a pit stop, so is Cam. A-Rez is making his pit stop now. Mrs. Cole's just made hers, so is Johnny and Frenzy. Oh, a 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Cherry. So, I think it's only 3 drivers at the moment with penalties. Scotty has got that gap closed down to Epic, so it's just in the DRS range. of Epic, so Scotty does get that DRS from Epic, so it's just closed up that little bit more. So let's go down. We've got Lice and GCC going to be battling out. Lice is going to make a move on GCC up to P5. So Johnny 1.5 seconds behind. Freddie, Mrs. Cole in P9, Cam in P10, Rd.11, Cherry in P12. So GCC and Lattice then Lattice has pulled out that 1 second gap to GCC, so out of the DRS for GCC. Johnny Stokes on the medium tyres already on near enough on the attack of Freddie on those fresh medium tyres. So it looks like I've just missed as well. Stewie sets the fastest lap of the race. Scotty gets the lead of the race on Epic, but then Epic comes back against Scotty. These two are kind of wheel to wheel, but Scotty just backs out there a little bit, allowing Epic to take the lead of the race again. Let's have a look. Johnny's already got past Freddie. A little bit of a snap there for Freddie as well. So let's go back up to the lead 2 for the time being. We'll see if Scotty again is going to opt to maybe try and make a move again on Epic. After me missing the first overtake that Scotty did do on Epic, but it looks like at the moment we'll see how that is. We do also see I think, yeah, it's Freddie, Johnny and GCC again. We're going to be battling. Johnny might look to make a move on GCC, looking to go up the inside. Who's got the better exit? It looks like Johnny's got the better exit. It's a great move there by Johnny on GCC. So Johnny up to P6. Lattice is in front of him with a 5 second gap, but Johnny's looking pretty quick at the moment on this fresh medium tyres. Cherry has retired in the pits. Unlucky for Cherry. I think he did get into a bit of the collision at the start of the race. I'm not too sure. Don't know if there was any damage to the car as well, but that's unlucky there for Cherry. With one more race to go, which will be at Qatar, which that is going to be fun to commentate on as well when that does come around next week. But for now, at the moment, we are looking at tonight's race. Stewie is also flying as well. on a set of medium tyres after doing what was probably about 12-13 laps on the soft tyres. So Stewie now on literally on the rear of Frenzy, but he's going to wait, comes over, Frenzy jumps into the pits then, Scotty and Epic also in the pits as well. So this will give Stewie the lead of the race. Epic and Scotty will come out. Where's Johnny? Johnny has come out right behind Scotty. So Scotty comes out the pits on a set of soft tyres. Scotty's going to be pretty quick, but does have Johnny behind him as well. So Scotty and Epic just beats Johnny out of the pits as they came out of the pits. So we'll see how things are doing. Epic's also won a set of softs as well. So this is going to be pretty close to see what happens. Mrs. Cole on the rear, or closing up on the rear of GCC as well. Does also have Frenzy in the mix. Johnny still within DRS. Sue's just jumped in the pits. GCC's jumped in the pits. Lattice is behind Cam on a set of, is that soft tyres? Yep, soft tyres for Lattice. And that does move Arez up to P10 as well. Cam to P9. Mrs. Carl up to P7. Frenzy and Freddie are in the mix as well. How's the gap doing between Johnny and Scotty? It's come down just a little bit. So Epic at the moment does have a 3-second lead on Scotty. But obviously Scotty is battling with Johnny as well. Frenzy's on the rear of Freddie. Epic sets the fastest lap of the race, and Frenzy makes a lovely move coming round the fast right-hander. But Freddie's looking to come back, but Frenzy picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Mrs. Cole picks herself up a 3-second time penalty. Lattice sets the fastest lap of the race, and Johnny and Scotty are still close together. Freddie and Frenzy are still pretty much close together, but Freddie does like to lock up those rear tyres. Mrs. Cole P7 as well. Both the Mercedes of Cam and Arez kind of battling each other, but comfortably at the moment. Obviously, apart from the pit stops, Stewie has again got that gap to roughly about 15 seconds. Epic in P2 on the soft tyres, 3-second gap to Scotty. Johnny up 7 positions. GCC just picked himself up a penalty. We got a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that's GS it is. So nothing to bring out a safety car or anything. So GCC gets himself moving again. So there's a gap pulled to between both the Mercedes drivers at the moment. Clouds are coming over, so are we going to expect any rain? I don't know. Retirement from GGC. Don't think there's going to be any change in the weather. But we will have to wait and see what happens. It's too early to say anything for raindrops or anything like that. So Epic's took, I'd probably say, about 2.5 seconds off that lead that Stewie has. Stewie was had a 15-second lead. Epic's sort of took roughly, I'd say, about 2.5 seconds off that time with those softer compounded tyres. Scotty has pulled away from Johnny. Frenzy is looking to potentially close up on Johnny as well. So we'll see if a battle out of that comes to... if that battle does come a little bit closer. Lattice also looking to maybe catch up with Mrs. Cole. Not sure what happened there between both the Mercedes drivers there. Probably nothing too major. So Epic's pulled out another second of that time on Stewie. Lap 25 of 33. Could we potentially see maybe a battle for the lead? We'll see. So, like I say, Scotty's pulled away from Johnny. Frenzy is on a mission at the moment with getting the gap down. Has got the gap down to Johnny. So Frenzy, is he going to get DRS as they go over? He does as well. So this might help getting him a little bit closer to Johnny. So we'll have to see potentially at the moment how this is going to work out. We've got Mrs. Cole we're missing that. Lattice and Mrs. Cole having a little bit of a battle there. This will bring Freddie into it as well. Frenzy again that little bit closer. Cam picks himself up a 3-second time penalty there. Frenzy again is that little bit closer to Johnny, so this might help out Scotty just a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see how much it's going to help out Scotty. Lattice are looking to make a move on Freddy. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does. Frenzy does get the move done on Johnny with the help of the DRS. So, will Johnny stick or have a go at sticking with Frenzy, get a little bit of DRS help to try and, or to get Frenzy to pull Scotty, to pull Johnny along, to then maybe pulling Scotty. We'll have to see how it goes at the moment. But Lattice up to P6. Freddy down position in P7 with Mrs. Carl closely behind as well. So another 2 seconds out on the gap. Epic's pulled out of Stewie. Now, I thought that was my eyes doing me, but I thought I could see rain then. But nothing coming up to it at the moment. But Johnny at the moment is actually sticking with Frenzy. Even though Frenzy is on a set of soft tyres, I believe. Yep. Johnny is still sticking with Frenzy. Mrs. Cole is closing in, slowly closing in on Freddy as well. So Mrs. Cole maybe looking to get a position on Freddy. So we'll keep an eye on that. So again, Johnny still sticking with Frenzy. Who else do we have at the moment? Mrs. Carl. So Mrs. Carl has managed to get that gap to 5.5 tenths to Freddy. So will Mrs. Carl look to make a move on Freddy going into turn 1? Freddy does go defensive down the straight, and I do believe again Frenzy. Oh no, Frenzy. Who locked the rears? I think it was either Frenzy or Freddy. Or Johnny, sorry, that locked the rears. Little bit of a rear lock up again for Freddy, maybe. So at the moment, still overcast, but no rain. So there's nothing coming in. It looks like the sun is coming back out. So we're gonna maybe have clear skies for the rest of the race. Johnny's still behind Frenzy, but let's just keep a lookout for Mrs. Carl. Gets the DRS open. Still time. There's still time for an overtake to be done. But then again, we'll have, yeah, there is. But obviously, I'm not going to say too much with what's going off at the moment. So, Johnny still behind Frenzy. Frenzy is keeping Johnny at bay at the moment. Epic is still looking to claw the gap. 8 seconds or 8-9 seconds Stewie has at the moment. Johnny now, is Johnny going to make a move on Frenzy going into turn 1? Johnny does, so Johnny up to P4. Mrs. Cole again is closer to Freddy. Is she going to make a move now? Going into turn 1. Freddy moves over just to get out the slipstream of Mrs. Cole there. So Mrs. Cole's still going to be looking. May potentially to get a move done. Both of the Mercedes drivers are battling it out at the back as well. So Frenzy still keeping with Johnny, or Frenzy gets a little bit closer there than to Johnny. So are we going to see a changeover again between Frenzy and Johnny? What's the gap like to Mrs. Carl and Freddy? Mrs. Carl again is closer to Freddy, but I think she's going to wait till we get to the DRS. Johnny's just pulled that little bit of a gap out, so let's jump back down to Freddy and Mrs. Carl. Mrs. Cole this time does follow Freddy. She gets herself a little bit closer to Freddy. Opting there to make a move, just showing Freddy that she's there. She's got to make a move now. She's got to make the overtake move now. Go around the outside, little switch. No, oh, Freddy and Mrs. Cole are absolutely fighting it out in P7 and P8. Freddy is absolutely keeping Mrs. Cole at bay and not giving this place up easily. So great defending there by Freddy. Frenzy and Johnny are also close together. Ares picks himself up another 3-second time penalty. Frenzy's not close enough. Going into turn 1 to make a move. Come on, Mrs. Cole, this time. You've got it this time. Gotta make this move. Or get that little bit closer and make a move at the next hairpin. It's got to be done. Last lap of the race. Can Mrs. Cole get the move done on Freddy? She gets a little bit closer, follows him over. Looks to go potentially round the outside. Freddy locks those rears up. Into the inside goes Mrs. Cole. Both drivers have no ERS whatsoever. Whoa, little bit of a wiggle and a snap there from Freddy. As Mrs. Cole got it, Stewie wins the race. Will be followed by Epic in P2. This is going to be a close finish. There's also going to be a close finish between, no, so Scotty finishes P3. Mrs. Cole is looking to get this move done on Freddy. Obviously, there is other things in place as well, but it's going to be close. And Mrs. Cole does jump Freddie on penalties, but what a battle we had on the last lap between Freddie and Mrs. Cole. What an exceptional race that was to the end we had there. Amazing, amazing race. Wow. So congratulations to everybody that finished. Driver of the day goes to Lattice. Well, EA's driver of the day goes to Lattice. So, there's your winner. Great race by Stewie. Controlled race from start to finish. And did get the lead back. So, your winner is Stewie. Epic second. Scotty in third. Then it goes Johnny, Frenzy, Lattice, who finished Cam and Ares were P10 and P9. Mrs. Cole was P7. Freddie, no, Mrs. Cole was missing. I don't know, but I know that I finished anyway. So Johnny was fourth, Frenzy fifth. I believe Mrs. Cole seventh and Freddie eighth. And we did, like I say, there was a little bit of a connection loss, but we did lose a couple of drivers. Other than that, thanks to everybody that commented, watched along. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been RPR Round 11 at Portugal. Join me next week for the final race of the season at Qatar. But until next time, guys, I've been your commentator, RPR, and I will see you next week. Good night.